A friend to the friendless. The dust-choked town of Mercy's End stretched across the New Mexico territory like a sun-bleached skeleton, its wooden buildings standing crooked against the blood-orange sunset. Sheriff Thomas Wade traced his weathered fingers across his deputy's badge, now stained crimson and riddled with bullet holes. Young Jimmy Collins had been more than just his deputy, he'd been the closest thing to a son Wade had left in this world. The year was 1875, and justice wore whatever face a man chose to give it. For Wade, justice had always worn the face of mercy. But today, Mercy lay dead in the street alongside Jimmy Collins. "Reckon the Hawkins gang's headed north through Apache Canyon," old Pete wheezed, his rheumy eyes fixed on the horizon. The saloon keeper had seen his share of killers come and go, but none as ruthless as Jacob Hawkins and his band of outlaws. "They're like wolves, Sheriff. Ain't got no conscience to speak of." Wade's voice came out rough as ground glass. "Wolves at least kill to eat, Pete. These men? They kill because they've forgotten their men." The sheriff packed light, his father's Colt, a Winchester rifle, and enough ammunition to start a small war or end one. The only other thing he carried was the letter he'd found in Jimmy's pocket, addressed to a sister back east. "Sarah, I found something worth fighting for out here." Sheriff Wade takes in every broken soul that drifts through Mercy's End. The locals call him a friend to the friendless. "Reckon that's why I trust him with my life." The words burned in Wade's chest like cheap whiskey. The trail north was a serpentine path through red rock formations that rose from the earth like ancient guardians. Wade tracked the gang for 3 days, following signs most men would miss: a freshly broken twig, the impression of a horseshoe in hard-packed dirt, the lingering smoke of a dead campfire. He caught up to them at Devil's Crossing, where the canyon walls pressed in close as church walls and the wind howled like lost souls. 5 men, led by Jacob Hawkins, who wore his gun belt low and decorated with notches like a savage counting coup. "Well, if it ain't the shepherd of Mercy's End," Hawkins called out, his voice echoing off the canyon walls. "Come to tend his flock?" Wade sat tall in his saddle, silhouetted against the setting sun. "Came to send some wolves to judgment." "1 lawman against 5 outlaws?" Hawkins spat in the dust. "Them's fool's odds." "Way I figure it," Wade replied, his hand hovering near his Colt, "you boys are already dead. Just ain't had the decency to lay down yet." The air grew thick as molasses, time stretching like a bowstring drawn too tight. Wade watched Hawkins's eyes, saw the minute twitch that telegraphed his draw. The canyon erupted in gunfire. Wade's first shot took Hawkins in the gun hand, sending his revolver spinning. The second caught the outlaw nearest him in the chest. Wade rolled from his saddle as bullets chewed the air around him, the Winchester coming up smooth as silk. 2 more shots, 2 more of Hawkins's men down. The last tried to run, his horse's hooves throwing sparks off the rocks. Wade's bullet caught him between the shoulder blades, a killing shot, clean as scripture. Only Hawkins remained, clutching his ruined hand, hatred burning in his eyes like desert fever. "Ain't you gonna kill me, Sheriff?" he snarled. Wade approached slowly, his boots crunching on loose stone. "No. You're going back to Mercy's End. Going to stand trial for Jimmy Collins and every other soul you've sent to an early grave. Because that's what justice looks like in my town." "You're soft, Wade. Always was your weakness, showing mercy to them that don't deserve it." Wade holstered his Colt and pulled out his handcuffs. "Mercy ain't weakness, Hawkins. Sometimes it's the hardest strength there is." As the sun sank behind the canyon walls, Sheriff Wade led his prisoner back toward Mercy's End. The desert wind kicked up, carrying away the powder smoke and the copper smell of blood. Somewhere in the gathering dark, a lone wolf howled, a sound that might have been mourning, might have been triumph. Back in town, they'd ask him why he didn't kill Hawkins outright. Wade would think of Jimmy's letter, of all the broken souls who'd found their way to Mercy's End over the years. He'd think of how justice and mercy weren't opposing forces, but 2 sides of the same worn coin. Because sometimes, being a friend to the friendless meant showing mercy to those who deserved it least. And sometimes, it meant being strong enough to carry the weight of both justice and mercy, even when your heart felt heavy as a coffin full of lead. The end. If you are enjoying Adventures in the Old West channel, hit the subscribe button for future posts.